Hi, lovelies, welcome back. This week I would like to talk a little bit about rules and just how kind of unconsciously we follow these rules and how kind of damaging that can be to experiencing our true nature more and more. Our true nature is limitless by design. There is no, we come into these human forms. We are the intelligence of the entire universe, made manifest as human beings. And yet we grow up as kids being taught that there are rules to life. I mean, we get taught a lot of things as kids. We get taught shoulds and shouldn'ts, language, culture, society. But rules are another thing that we kind of pick up that look like they have more power than they do. They look like that rules are these things that are just set in stone. Like this is the way that you must be in order to be okay, or in order to be loved, or in order to be accepted, or in order to be approved of, or in order to be safe, or in order to be, like the list goes on. And so we pick up these rules and we don't really even know we picked them up, which is, kind of the tricky part is they become so ingrained, so kind of like the walls of the room that we don't really even see that they're there. And then if we're lucky, we have moments where we kind of catch ourselves, thinking in certain ways or saying or doing certain things that we're like, hold on a second. Why have I created that limit for myself? Why have I created that rule for myself? So what I'm playing with lately, and again, in this conversation, I want everything we talk about and do and experiment with to be play. It's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be exploratory. It's supposed to be full of curiosity. Please don't take anything I talk about on these weekly videos to be tasks I'm giving you or things that you have to do to have a better life or any sort of heaviness or should or self-development. Ugh, I hate the word self-development. It's one of my least favorite words ever because yourself doesn't need to develop. You're already perfect the way you are. It's just that we get a lot of bullshit in the way of that. A lot of, one of the ways that bullshit takes form is rules that we pick up just as like, that's the way it is. And we don't even stop to, the thing is, a lot of the times we don't even know we're really living by these rules. They're so kind of invisible to us that it's like, well, yeah, of course you eat dessert after dinner. Duh, like that, it's unthinkable to even eat a meal any other way until you are lucky enough to catch yourself saying, oh, yeah, no, I'll bake these cookies at 4 o'clock, but I have to wait till later to eat them. And then I'm like, wait a second. No, I don't. I'm literally the intelligence of the entire universe. I am the divine made manifest in human form. And yet I think that because I was told as a kid, desserts are after you've eaten your veggies, then I'm not allowed to eat cookies any time of day I choose to eat cookies. So that's just like a silly example, and that's just something I caught myself on yesterday. But I catch myself all the time, literally on like a daily basis. I catch myself living by rules that other people made up, things that other people said I should do or I should be. And it's innocent because all of us are hardwired for approval. We're hardwired for acceptance. We're hardwired for not wanting to do things wrong and get killed or hurt or injured or kicked out of the tribe or, ill because of it. Like, it's normal to want to live by rules, but some of them are actually important things that keep us safe. Like, hey, you should look before crossing the street. That's quite a good rule for us to pick up as, humans. To be like, hey, if you're going to step in front of a roadway that's made for, these death machines to go at crazy speeds, you probably should make sure the coast is clear before doing that. Like, that is a great rule. That actually does keep people safe. But then there's all of these other rules that become so embedded in the way we live our life that we don't even see them half the time. We just think, of course I can't do that. Of course that's too much, or that's too little, or that's beyond me, or that's something that I don't have a choice in doing, or that, and I catch myself in all of these stupid little ways that I'm like, who even made up these rules? Like, I must eat a certain amount of this. I must not eat a certain amount of this. This is too much of this. This is too little of this. Oh no, I'm drinking 5 cups of tea a day. People aren't supposed to drink that much tea. Oh no, I had 4 eggs in a carbonara. Like, those things that we do that like we don't even realize are rules that's been handed down to us. And then we have that internal struggle of like kind of hitting up against something and saying, I can't do that. Or that's not how I should be living, or that's not how it should be. Life should be different. And then we create that struggle. All of the suffering in our life comes from a struggle between what is just natural and obvious and common sense to us and where our minds tell us otherwise. I see this with anxiety. I see this with depression. I see this with, people living kind of unfulfilled lives. I see this with loneliness. I see this with habits. Our mind has a story that this is how things should go. This is how many cups of tea a day is okay. This is how many, max amount of yoga you should do in a day. This is how, your minimum and maximums for exercise. This is your minimums and maximums for sugar. This is your minimums and maximums for hydration. This is your minimums and maximums for showers. We live in all of these rules that when we catch ourselves, we're like, wait a second, I never consented to that. That doesn't even make any sense. And so what I really wanted to talk about is not just that we have these rules, because most of us kind of know that we have silly rules, but really seeing that rules in themselves don't have the power. The power is that we give our agreement to them, our acceptance of them, our taking them seriously, our buy-in. There's a million ways to say this, and you watch my videos, I talk about this in a million different ways. But it's not the fact that we have a rule in our head that says, you can't take 2 baths in one day. If and most days, yes, I'm also not taking 2 baths a day every day. But the fact that I have a rule in my head that in any given period, in any given wake and sleep cycle, that there's minimum, maximum amounts of baths and showers, or sugar, or yoga, or exercise, or music, or tea, or food, or citrus. Like, it's how silly this gets, where it's like, wait a second. It doesn't matter that I have a thought in my head that says that there are rules that I'm not following. It only matters that I buy into it and say, yeah, that's true. I shouldn't eat my dessert before. I shouldn't eat a cookie for breakfast. I shouldn't take 2 baths if I'm, feeling sore. I shouldn't, it's all of those things that make me go, wait a second. Do I want to give my agreement to that? Do I want to give my acceptance of that? Do I want it just because it's in my head? Do I want to treat it as true? Do I want to go with it? Do I want to put my belief in there? No, hell no. And so I know that I'm always going to be on this journey of life of seeing more bullshit rules that I've made up for myself in all areas of life. I mean, I'm using these silly examples of kind of like food and exercise and hygiene because these are kind of these silly, dumb examples that we just pick up. But we get this in every area of our life. Rules about what emotions are okay, who is okay to have those emotions around, what's too much, what's not enough, what we're allowed to do in terms of activities, what we're not allowed to do in terms of activities, how long something should take, how little time something should take. Like, we live by this craziness. And what I think is so cool to see is, like, I'm never going to get to the end, like, I'll literally be on my deathbed still not seeing rules that I've made up. But it's so cool when I see them, because every time I see it, I get to go, oh, a rule is powerless until I put my power into it. It's just a thought in my head until I say, yes, you're right, I shouldn't be eating cookies for breakfast. Bad behavior. But the minute I hear, kind of catch that thought that says, you can't eat cookies for breakfast, and I go, oh yeah? Says who? The big bad thought in my head? The result of a ton of social conditioning, of listening to other people's ideas about what I should do, how I should be, what I should put in my body, what is okay, what is not okay, what I should and shouldn't do. Yeah, no, I think I'm just going to go and do what my wisdom tells me to do. And so this ties into what I talked about last week with self-listening, is when we start to realize more and more that we have this internal wisdom that we can live by. We have this, voice that is always giving us, and it doesn't even come always as a voice. It comes as a nudge or a feeling or just a hint of something or a sense of something. But we have this movement in us that literally does the heavy lifting for us. When I need to pee, it takes me to go pee. When I need to get water, it takes me to get water. When I need to eat, it makes me make food. Like, we have this intelligence that knows how to live us, and yet we have all of this conditioning that says, but no, this is the way things should be, and your job is to follow suit. And so for me, it's kind of thrilling, and it's kind of fun, and it's kind of playful to catch these stupid rules that I, have just picked up from somewhere along the way, and then get to be like, wait a second, this rule is meaningless until I give it my consent. This rule doesn't have power over me until I give it power. This rule doesn't have any, it can't actually stop me from eating the cookie until I say, yeah, I shouldn't eat cookies before 12 p.m. That's bad. So if anything, this is just an invitation to see where where can you kind of play with catching yourself in these silly made up rules. Maybe it's going to be in areas of your life where you're like, holy shit, I didn't realize that it was okay for me to set boundaries in my friendships, or I didn't realize that there are things that I'm not doing, that I need to be doing for my health and well-being. Not because I'm not okay if I don't do it, but like I just have a much nicer life when I let myself be lived by wisdom and let myself be lived by what I actually want and desire and need and would make me thrive versus, what I'm told I need or what I'm told I should do. Or it might be just little things like eating cookies in the morning. I don't know. I'm not here to tell you how wisdom is going to manifest for you, but I am here to offer you the invitation to just look and see if you can see where you're living by these rules that you don't need to be. Because, like I said, it's not the fact that we have rules for how we should be. We all have them. We're all going to hear them. We're all going to have them come into our heads. There's no controlling that. But it's going back to, do I want to agree with that and therefore give it power and therefore live my life based on those rules? Or do I want to just have a little chuckle and a little laugh at how silly it is and go and let my divine nature lead the way? Let my wisdom lead the way. Let my true nature lead the way. Let the best and most brilliant inside of me give me what I need when I need it, even if my mind says otherwise. And there is a fun in that and a playfulness in that and a kind of naughty rebellion in that. And it is just a hell of a lot of fun. And it's something I've been playing with lately. So I wanted to extend the invitation to you guys in case it's helpful. So as always, I love hearing, from you guys. I love hearing your requests, what you guys want me to talk about. So please leave those in the comments below, as well as any questions or comments or anything that is on your mind. So I look forward to hearing from you guys. Please subscribe if you haven't already. New videos every Friday, and I'll be back with you next week. Have an amazing weekend and happy playing. Take care. Bye.